What are maybe some of the ways then we can identify those triggers so it doesn't consume us and lead to addiction?
Talking is the one massive thing, because addiction is all about resentments, secrets. They are some of the biggest things. And relapses, 9 times out of 10, you'll relapse on a resentment or a secret. Another big one is pain, but pain management's something different. But the more we talk and offload, the lighter we feel. It doesn't have to be, I wouldn't advise with somebody close to you. You want somebody impartial where you can just let it all out, because we'll have things from childhood, we'll have things from adulthood that we don't understand. And sometimes just saying it out loud, we can make sense of it, or we can start tracing it. But talking to a trusted person and having a good community around you is essential. So the more we lock ourselves away, the more we're burying the trauma, which is not going to do us any good at all. It's going to bring our body's pain, our mind's pain, and we'll become more and more secluded. So, talk.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because we touched on it briefly earlier when it comes to those around us. And maybe sometimes we are going through what we're going through because of our peer group, because of our friends, because of our family, because maybe they're not the right ones for us, but for us, whatever reason, we're keeping them around. And I remember a time in my life, let's say my early 20s, where I was trying to figure life out. I was an adult, but I was very unsure of my place in the world. And when I say my place in the world, because I know some people maybe are confused, is that I think every single person that is growing up in the world wants to belong somewhere in it, right? From a child to an adolescent to an adult until you're in the twilight of your life. I was trying to figure that out. But the people around me were stunting my growth because they didn't care to figure it out because even though we're all adults, they were still in the childlike mind, running around doing not taking responsibility or accountability for their actions. And one thing that I realized was I was in a way being drawn to toxic people, maybe addicted to toxic people,
Yeah.
just because it was easier to be around them because the standards were lower. And because the standards were lower, you're more prone to do things that you wouldn't necessarily do because you're going to compromise yourself. Do you see that happening where some people compromise themselves, fall into issues, fall into addiction because of the people they keep around them and they're trying to fit in, even though they know what they're doing is wrong?
Yeah. And I think we're naturally social beings, even if my husband says all the time, I don't like people, but he is a social being. Sometimes he just has those days when he doesn't want to talk to anyone, and so do I. We need our space, but we are social beings, so we all want to belong. And if we can't find our natural group, we will gravitate to the nearest group that will have us, no matter the impact on ourselves. So if it is, say, a gang, or if you're a girl and it's a male group, or vice versa, if we're accepted, then we feel wanted, which is exactly what the human condition is. We want to be wanted and loved. So we will navigate towards that. And once we've done that, it can be so hard to change our behaviors because we've fitted in. We've been accepted as we are. We don't have to change. And then if we think about joining a different group or changing our behaviors, we're going to be shunned by the group that loved us. And that can be difficult to deal with, even if we know it's wrong. And there is somewhere else for us. As much as we hate to admit it, we don't like to be disliked. And if it can look like we're turning our back on the people that loved us, even when we know deep down it's not for us. So it is so natural. It really is.
And then they're caught in the middle because there's very little effort to be a part of this group, which isn't benefiting them. But then when you look across the aisle and you see these healthy relationships, healthy marriages, healthy men, healthy women, and they've put in the effort, I wonder, and maybe you know the answer to this, I wonder how many people don't even try because they know that the effort is so much more than they could probably give at that point in their life.
And it's responsibility as well. It could be the first time, especially in I don't want to say broken homes, but homes that have been damaged in some way. It could be about taking responsibility, especially for ourselves. And from our childhood, we might not know how to take responsibility.